Hello, fight fans. I'm Jason Burgos from MixedMartialArts.com, and I have the great pleasure of being joined by one of the best fighters to ever put on a pair of 4-ounce gloves. He's the greatest UFC flyweight of all time. He's a one championship Grand Prix winner and a man universally viewed as the MMA GOAT. He will return to action in December in a special rules match against Muay Thai star Rodtang, and that man I speak of is the one, the only, Demetrious Johnson. Senor Johnson, thank you so much for the time today.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate that.
Now, Joseph Benavidez retiring was a big story this past week. Him, Ian McCall, Yasuhiro Urushitani, and yourself were part of the inaugural four-man tourney to find the first UFC flyweight champion. All of those men retired now, except you. Obviously, you are the youngest of that group. But when that happens, and the peers you worked with on your way up throughout the sport, on your way up through MMA, are retiring, does it make you think? Does it make you reflect at all? And I'm not saying you're anywhere near retiring or anything like that. But when those things happen, does it kind of give you like a moment of pause and thinking, just damn, like time really has flown by so fast, and I can't. This isn't forever. As you see these peers of yours retire.
Yeah, I didn't know Ian McCall retired. Ian McCall retired last week too?
No, I mean he hasn't. For I was looking at his resume since 2018.
Oh, gotcha. He has the PS since 2018, but he's still active, I'm assuming, right?
Okay.
Gotcha. I've always known that I couldn't fight forever, but yes, time does fly by. You realize time flies by when you have children. My oldest is 8, 6, and 3. But as an athlete, I know that I can't fight forever. So, with me seeing Joseph and Carlos Condit retiring, it just shows that, what I've always preached is true. You can't fight forever. So we'll have those guys nothing but the best in their next venture in their career. And yeah, man, you just got to enjoy the journey.
Would you agree that children are the one thing where time at times feels really slow, but then also time at times goes so fast you don't remember it at all?
1,000%, 1,000%. Having 3 children, and we had Tyron and Maverick like 13, not 13, but like 16 to 17 months apart. They're only a couple months up. They're 2 years apart, but it's that overlap. So when we had our first, I remember everything. And then when we had Maverick, Tyron was like 2 and 2, and Maverick was like 3 months old. So just that time difference, the second one's kind of blended. Now my daughter, she's 3 years old. There's a big gap between them, 3 years apart when you have children. So like the way she's acting, I'm like, you're just like Tyron. I don't remember much of Maverick. Maverick's chill. He cried all of the damn time, but you're a different animal. Yeah, so having children makes time feel that it goes by way faster.
Are there any of them? Because I'm sure that there's some of them that they go to the gym and join you at the gym and stuff like that. Are there any of them that you feel like just have a natural skill, athleticism like their dad, that you can see them being in professional sports, maybe even martial arts one day?
Not martial arts. I think Tyron, I think he has the passion and the drive for motocross. He loves it. We put him in football. Football. We did basketball. We've done soccer. We've done I think baseball. I think for Tyron, I think he can be a professional motocross rider. Do I think he'll make lots of money doing it? That's a whole different ballgame. Yeah. But I mean, with that sport, it's very dangerous. And there's a lot of privateers out there. And yeah, but Maverick, he likes to do mixed martial arts, but he's just a chill kid. My daughter, she's 3. She hasn't really gotten into any sports or anything like that. So, but the reason I bring up Tiny is because that's all he breathes and eats. Dirt biking. Motocross. He doesn't care about anything else besides motocross.
I want to touch quickly on the Adriano Moraes fight, your preparation for the fight, because I talked to you before that fight. You mentioned how COVID restrictions where you live, it changed the way you would train and prepare compared to non-COVID camps, and it differed in that way. Also, a longtime teammate Bibiano Fernandez in an interview mentioned not being able to train with you for the camp and stuff like that, and because of the I'm sure that hurt on a level, because the better the training partners you get, I'm sure the better preparation. When looking back at that fight now, do you feel like that kind of camp in those kind of conditions did maybe have an effect in the fight? Did you ever at some point maybe ponder taking your fight camp to those states that were more open, say a Florida or Texas? Or honestly, what was the fight just one of those things? At the highest levels, you make a small mistake here or there, it's a battle, it's a fight of interest, and it's more chalked up to that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it was just those. It was a game of inches, and I just made the wrong move. I was very overzealous, trying to close that distance, and that one blip of that exchange just got me in. Here's the thing: I've been dropped before. That hasn't been the first time I've ever been dropped. John Dotson has hit me. Out of my whole entire career, John Dotson's the only person that's hit me the hardest. Where I was like, "Holy shit, that hurt!" Like, yeah. What the was that? I think Rodtang's probably gonna top that one. Me and him fight, but I felt it was just that blip. Just that uppercut, and then with the rules in one championship, knee to the ground an opponent. Yep. It was just perfect. He was able to take advantage of it, and he was able to land that shot. So it is what it is, and. Yeah, I just, I don't think it was something to do with my training or anything like that. It was just, it is what it is.
Since that fight, were your preferences kind of to get a rematch with Adriano? Or at this juncture, you've done so much, I'm sure that the most interesting ideas probably gravitate to you a little bit more and stuff like that. And when something like this Rodtang special rules fight came up, you jumped at it because it just was so different and unusual and cool, kind of.
Yeah, it was the different interests, to be honest with you. For me, I've done this before. It's not my first world title fight loss. I've lost against Sandro Cruz, lost against Henry Cejudo. So, and typically when you lose a fight, you go back up the ranks and ladders, you fight your way up the ladder, and you fight for another world title. So for me, when this opportunity arose, I was like, well, this is out of the blue, and this is totally different. So let's do this.
I freaking love this fight. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but it feels so much like the wild stuff Pride would have done back in the day. When one came to you with this fight, this idea of mixed rules and rounds and stuff like that, what were your first reactions? Was there kind of confusion? Like, wait, what? Was it just interested and you just kind of needed to know like the specifics, how it's going to play out? And also how long did it kind of take to negotiate? 4 rounds. The round switch from Muay Thai to MMA. They're going to be 4-ounce glove. How long did that take too?
Negotiation was easy. They said this is what it is, and I was like, sounds good. Let's do it. It's in the contract. But yeah, like I said, it's just a fun fight. I feel like out of all my fights I've done so far in one championship, this has been the most hyped fight that all the fans are super pumped about. Haven't heard one negative thing whatsoever about this fight. Everybody's super excited. They said it's something different. It's out of the box. So, right now it's about me just staying healthy and Rodtang, staying healthy and making it to December 5th to put on a great show.
Was Rodtang a guy you were familiar with even before one? Was it more like once you joined one, you became more familiar, learned his skills, discovered him and stuff like that? And for fans that don't follow the Muay Thai fighters, the kickboxers in Muay Thai in one, and maybe you're following the MMA, why is he very dangerous? Why is he have it seems like he has superstar potential that made this fight so interesting?
Well, yeah, all my friends, they follow Rodtang. They know who he is, so I didn't have to tell any of my friends who that was. And I got exposed to Rodtang once I signed with one championship, because I don't really watch a lot of fights outside of my own fights or the people I have personal attachments to. Okay. If that makes sense. I mean, back in the day when I first got into mixed martial arts, I was the guy who watched every single fight, whether it be, Pride, Dream, UFC. That was way back in the day. Now I'm being 35 years old. I have to pick and choose what I want to do with my time. Yeah. So for me, on a Saturday night, sitting down watching fights with the wife and kids doesn't seem very appealing to me, unless it's somebody I truly care about and I want to see fight. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, Rodtang, absolutely amazing athlete, an incredible. He's already a superstar. Amazing Muay Thai skills. I think his record is 256 to 42 losses. So, I mean, probably the most dangerous fighter ever fought.
A lot of people look at this fight simply as, Demetrious needs to just make it through this Muay Thai rounds. Once he gets to MMA, he's gonna get him in. He's gonna get him, take him down, maul him. Is it as simple as that? If you've thought about strategy so far, and would you say, just again, maybe haven't gotten deep into preparation, looking at him video, all those kind of things, but would you say it's fair to say that the gap between you and him in Muay Thai is not as big as the gap is between you and him in grappling?
No, I would say, I mean, his Muay Thai is on a different level.
True,
like
it's
on a different level. My grappling is on a different level compared to him.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, I don't think a rocket science. It doesn't take a rocket science to figure that out. But it's just about how does this fight play out, right? Like, am I able to survive the first round, and then the second round, am I able to get him to the ground? Because remember, the fight doesn't start on the ground; it starts still on the feet.
Yep.
So, it's a very intriguing fight, and that's why signed him to do it, and that's why everybody in the world's excited to watch it.
Is it because of his high level of striking skills, how dangerous he is, how tough he is, because he's durable as hell. He doesn't care about getting punched. It's crazy. Would you rank him very high up there with some of the very elite fighters? His danger factor is as high as anybody you've ever fought in your career? Is it that kind of thing?
No, his factors almost aligning of like John Dodson. I feel like John Dodson, when he back in his prime day, when he touched people, he would put them to sleep. I mean, Dodson, every single time he touched me when we fought, he put me on my ass. So that's dangerous in my eyes for someone to have that one punch power. And like I said, he's willing to take a shot to give a shot, and he has a granite chin, and it's gonna be a dope fight.
You are out in Singapore, like you mentioned. You're going to be with James Yang and his MMA debut. Taking this sort of trip to do corner work all the way into Singapore, long trip, says a lot. What is your relationship with James, that made you willing to go corner him for this debut? Is he like a pupil? Like we're seeing a lot of people seeing Khabib has pupils like Islam Makhachev. Is he like that kind of guy to you? Is he like almost a little brother? Like, what's the relationship with you and James that made you go halfway across the world to corner him?
Well, he's my teamate.
All right.
He's my teammate. He's my brother. I mean, he's helped me out throughout majority of my career. And, I feel like this is what teammates do and brothers do is like, I want to see him succeed. I want him to be successful, have a great career. That way, when he's done with his mixed martial arts career, he has something to show for. And for me, he's done it for me multiple times. So for me to come out here and do it is to show that my reciprocation, that I appreciate him and what he does for me, and take a time away from his family, and I take time away from my family.
All right, 2 questions left. So notable news last week was the announcing of this MMA league called the World Fight League that's supposed to have like an athlete association where people can collectively bargain. There's supposed to be 50-50 revenue split. They're going to be teams, a roster draft, all these kinds of things. There's going to be NFL, NBA stars involved and the executive side of things. When you see like things like that, being in the sport for so long, does it bring hope and like, oh wow, okay, this sport is going the direction it probably needs to go? Or do you kind of, knowing how the sport is, kind of look at it skeptically, and you need to see things like that in real life to actually believe, yes, there'll be an organization that does like 50-50 revenue split?
I think at the end of the day, you have to take a step back and look, how come no other organization has ever done that before?
Yeah.
Right? Like if you really sat down, like how come any organization has ever done before? Because they wouldn't make as much money. So, and I think Jorge Masvidal said it the best. Like, you have another person who's willing to fight for cheaper or less, just to have the opportunity to be able to compete. And if it happens, that's great. I think that'll be amazing after, I think I read it, they get a pension or whatnot. But, I have to see it to believe it. But at the end of the day, I think everybody should take a step back. Like, how come no other organization has ever done it? Right? Yeah. Like, if I don't know how much money an organization actually makes when it comes down to like license deal, food and beverages, merchandise, TV deal, all that stuff. Like if there's a pot, like let's say organization does, gets $1 billion and you have like 300 athletes and they split it up or whatever, or you can, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to sit here and break out my calculator or my math to get my math hat on, my investor hat on, because at the end of the day, you have to look at it. It's like, okay, if you have the top promotions in the world, then it's not a 50-50 split, and then the not division, but the organization have been running like this forever.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you think organizations just come out and says, hey, we're going to do this 50-50 revenue split, Muhammad Ali Act. First off, they have nobody on the roster.
Yeah.
Right? And two, so if you have nobody on the roster, how are you going to land a big TV deal, right, to help you cover some of that cost for the pension, the athletes, and the 50-50 split revenue? So there's a lot more that goes into that than just saying, hey, we're going to do this, because one, you're going to have the talent in order to lock in those TV deals, which they don't have any talent. So, I mean, like I said, there's a lot more that goes into it now than just saying that's going to happen.
As a big-time video game player, is there any disappointment that one championship doesn't have a video game coming out yet? Especially now that you have a special rules fight, that'd be like a perfect element of an outstanding fighting video game that would have you in it. Is there any disappointment in that there still hasn't been that movement quite yet? And also, if you were developing, you had an influence on one championship video games, what kind of elements do you feel that game needs?
Oh man, the hardest thing about those fighting games mixed martial arts is such a unique sport, right? It's a unique sport, and I feel the closest person to ever capture the game of mixed martial arts has been EA with the UFC game.
Yes.
But when I play the game, I'm like, this game's horrible. It's fucking perfect. It's a simulation, right? Like the best fighting games that have ever been done at a high level have always been Street Fighter and Tekken. Mm-hmm. And, even Guilty Gear, like those are the games that I'd rather play, right? Because I've never played a sport game. I've never played a football game. I've never played a soccer game. I've never played a basketball game. The only basketball games I've ever played has been NBA jams, or where you shoot 3 points, you get 3 shots, you're on fire. I think it's NBA jams, or NFL Blitz. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I don't play NBA 2K and all that shit, because if I really want to play basketball, I'll go outside and fucking play it. So just like in mixed martial arts, if I want to go fight, I'll go outside and fight, or I'll go to the gym and train. But Street Fighter, Tekken, the way I can't throw fireballs and I can't, do backflips and all that stuff. So for me, no, I'm not disappointed they haven't came out the one championship game, because if they're going to come out there, I want them to do it perfect and right. And two, any influence I would have in the game would be, let's get away from like the simulation of a game. Let's just make it dope. Like, Street Fighter-esque type of game with Capcom, but layer the skin of the athletes, like us. Because if you look at, I don't know if you ever played, have you played Street Fighter 5?
No, but I played some of the Street Fighter. I played Mortal Kombat, Tekken, all those games over the years.
Yeah, so but like when you play Street Fighter 5 now, every character feels different. Like Ken feels different from Ryu feels different from Akuma, Guile feels different from Nash feels different from Guile. So if you play Street Fighter Alpha, if you play Street Fighter 2 or 3, they all felt the same. Like Ryu and Ken, they felt exactly the same.
Okay.
So nowadays you can make the game and the character have their specific movement feeling, to where why not do that? Like even when Tekken crossed over to Street Fighter versus Tekken, the Kazuya still had his kind of movement in the game. So I would vouch for something like that. Like let's sign a deal with Capcom and have Capcom do our game, not our game, but One Championship's game in an esque of, then you can do Street Fighter versus One Championship. You can do a lot more.
Yeah.